So it's a bit hard to record this video because I'm not sure which parts to talk about and which ones not to talk about, which ones are relevant or not relevant. But I think the purpose is also to just start this conversation engaging about black tax as people that are currently facing black tax. How you, I'm sorry, I have what we call sokolela. So how are you finding ways to deal with black tax? How are you embracing black tax? How are you accepting black tax? The faces of denial, like being in denial, the harsh realities that we're dealing with as South Africans, being the first generation to go to university, being the first generation to have an income that is substantial enough to start providing for your family. But at the end of the day, these are not your descendants. Like, these are not your dependents. These are people who raised you to be who you are, and the stress that is involved with black tax and everything, and the pressure involved with black tax in the black community. So I think that's what I just wanted to cover in this episode. And I wrote a couple of points down regarding how can we, as individuals who have to go through black tax, how can we actually find ways to embrace it? How can we find ways to cope, deal with it, or whatever it is that you might have to go through? Because obviously we're not faced with the same realities. Our realities are different, our backgrounds are different. We might be facing the same topic, right? The same issue, which is black tax, but our backgrounds are not the same, our families are not the same still, right? So okay, I'm gonna get straight into it. I wrote something down, so if you see me looking down, this is what I'll be going through. The first one, in terms of embracing black tax, the first point that I wrote is accepting the cards that you're dealt in life, right? So I think acceptance of the fact that you have a responsibility as someone who's now at a better financial standing is one of the most crucial and one of the most challenging steps to actually go through, to just accept that these are the cards that I was dealt in life, and how I'm going to approach them is very crucial. It speaks volume of who you are. It speaks volume of the family that you come from as well, and dealing with the responsibility of accepting what it actually means, right? So, and understanding how empowering what you're going to be doing for your family will be. Like, let's just say, once I sort out the black tax issues, my little brother will never have to deal with anything related to black tax. So my little brother is 12 years younger than me. There's only 2 of us. So if I sort out all the black tax issues or black tax topics, his first salary will belong to him. So whatever he does for me or my mom, it won't be falling under the category of black tax. It will be falling under, I'm buying my sister a gift, I'm buying my mom a gift. And that's where we want to go, our families and our siblings and whoever comes after us, to be that financially empowered or financially independent, not having to deal with the topics and issues that we're dealing with. So, but we need to accept the fact that there's a need for us to actually do something about the harsh realities that our families are currently facing. So another thing that I noted under accepting the cards that you're dealt is the removal of the rescue mentality. So if you just stop denying the entire situation, that maybe there was a time when I was still young, I kept on hoping that we will actually win the lottery, so that's most of our economical issues, our financial issues will just be wiped off in just a jiffy, So, and another thing I noted is that when you're in denial, it just prolongs the inevitable. So someone has to do something about it, and it's hard, as hard as it is, yeah, for like firstborns to be the ones that have to pull their families out of these very bad financial backgrounds. Unfortunately, that is how it is, and accepting it really stops that whole thing of the vicious cycle of poverty, because it has to end somewhere. So if you are that person who has to end it, you have to just accept it. That first point of acceptance is very, very crucial, as I've said. So the second one is to set boundaries, right? And I've noted that in setting boundaries, you must find ways to protect yourself from yourself, right? I think some of the other items that I've noted down will go a bit in depth in terms of what am I trying to say, in a sense of why do you need to protect yourself from yourself. And then another thing is protecting yourself from your family, their family pressures, from your family not understanding your financial situation as well. Just thinking that because you're working, then it means you have money. Not understanding that the money you have, yes, there is money, but there isn't money for everything, and there isn't money to cover every single situation or to deal with every single topic that the family is going through, and that not every single topic you have to be involved or you have to carry the burden of it all, right? And then so as I was saying, another thing is to have honest and open conversations with your family member about your financial situation, understanding that you have to pay your own rent, or you have to pay for your own house, or you have to pay for your car, or you have to pay for whatever you have to pay for, right? And like maybe setting a budget with them. So as I've said, it'll vary from person to person. Some people can have honest and open conversations and not feel like they'll be judged by their family members, but others cannot have that relationship because that relationship has not been yet established before we even talk about money, right? So I'm fortunate enough to have an open and honest relationship with my mom to say, okay, I actually earn this much, my rent is this much, I go out and I use this much. And I found it to be very liberating to say that yes, the struggle still continues, but an understanding of what I'm doing financially helps to not put a lot of pressure on myself and on the situation, right? So the third one is setting realistic expectations. So I think I've touched a bit about it, the pressures, so things like remembering to pay yourself first, remembering to be kind to yourself, because sometimes when you're not achieving some of these goals as fast as you can possibly achieve them, you can start to feel like you're very useless, you're not helping your family, you're not contributing as much as you could contribute, you're being selfish. So you have to remember to be kind to yourself in such situations, and still being able to pay yourself first on a lot of things. Be that if you still have to invest, if you still have to save, if you still have to buy certain things that make your life a bit more comfortable, because you can only give what you have, right? So if you are giving yourself that room to be kind, you can that gives you more opportunity to be kind to others, to be more giving to others, because you're also giving yourself a lot of the things that you're working very hard for. So the fourth one right, is to teach your family financial literacy, right? I noted it down as your family teach financial literacy to your financial dependents, right? The reason why I'm saying financial dependence is that as much as my mom is my mom, she's still, in a sense, my financial dependent in this scenario. She's a very independent, very smart, very strong individual. Like, I did not come out of nowhere. I'm as strong as she can possibly be. So my strength, my resilience, my way of giving people my intelligence, it comes from the type of woman that she is. I had to call her. I had to ask for permission to record this video, to share my story, to share my family story about us being in a back room, about us not having as much as most people have had in their lives, or most people who have access to economical opportunities, and people that are probably watching this video. So some people might not relate altogether to what I'm sharing, but to the people that will relate, I think this video is definitely for you, and I wish we engage a bit more, share notes, compare notes, whatever it is, because these are the harsh realities that are out there, and there are other people that are still in university coming from these harsh realities that need to know, how do you actually deal with the situation that I'm facing, So we need to talk a bit more in our Black community, have honest conversations about money, have honest conversations about Black tax, have honest conversations about how to deal with it, not be shy that, okay, if I start talking about the pressures, the stress that I'm facing, then I'm being selfish. Mentally, we need to be in good places in order to empower the people that are very much dependent on us. So in this fourth topic, this fourth point that I've just mentioned, so your financial dependents need to understand how money works, right? They need to understand the things that money empower you to do, right? I see money as an empowerment tool. That's my relationship with money, right? Money can do a lot of things, but it can also destroy relationships if not spoken about honestly, not for people not being forthcoming with what it actually means to them and what it actually means in terms of the relationships that they have, right? So, and teaching them how to weigh opportunity costs, right? So you could be forced to buy something immediately and have to deal with, like, let's just say, taking a personal loan and all those type of topics. So the third point that I mentioned was teach them how to understand the implications of various type of financial products, right? So an understanding that if you take a personal loan, you have a higher interest that you have to pay. So you're paying the bank more than what they owed you, but maybe for a product that you didn't really need to begin with, but because you're forced to take that product as a result of the pressures that your family is giving you, then it becomes a bit of a problem. So if they have an understanding, so my mom took a personal loan, and to be honest, I understood the risk of taking a personal loan, but I think I succumbed to the to that because of what it meant to her, right? So right now I'm currently helping her to pay off the loan, but then later on I did explain to her how a personal loan works. She didn't understand what it meant for her to pay the money in the 60 months and how much interest she was paying. These are the topics that are not shared to the Black community, and there's no understanding of what it means to take a personal loan, why the interest is so high, why you're being rejected by one bank over the other, and all those things, So just finding ways to empower each other, empower your financial dependents to understand financial products so that it lessens the burden on you in a way of they won't take products that in a way create a deficit in your financial journey, because remember, this is going to be a partnership. What they do on their side and what you do on your side, it comes together to create a net worth of the kind of financial environment that you guys are trying to have. So it's very important to have honest topics. It's very important to educate your financial dependents on financial topics. So last but not least is to not succumb to societal pressure, right? So I'm currently working in the automotive industry, and I keep on hearing this topic from various people. So I'm actually quite annoyed when it comes to people just asking me like, you work in the automotive industry but you don't have a car. Yes, I don't have a car. I don't have a car because it doesn't make sense for me to have a car, right? Firstly, a car is a luxurious item, right? You have a car because you have that financial like damping. You can absorb anything related to having a car. You need insurance. That's another thing when you have a car, right? So you might have monthly installments, so that leads to a short to medium term loan where a certain portion of your salary is going to this thing, and if you don't pay that amount monthly, your car will be repossessed. So meaning that and some people, depending on who you're talking to, could say that it's a depreciating asset, meaning that 5 years from now, whatever money that I've put down, whatever capital that I've put down, it will not be the same, right? So it's, for me, a car is a luxurious item, as I've said. And if I succumb to societal pressures to say that I'm working in the automotive industry and I need to have a car before I can actually afford to have a car, then that is going to create a problem in my journey as a person who has black tax, as a person who has to then deal with black tax topics, right? Okay, so basically that's it when it comes to finding ways to embrace black tax as someone who has black tax. And I really hope that we can have an honest and open conversation regarding black tax, how you guys have been finding ways, because I'm not the first person to deal with one of the harshest black tax. So please comment down below as to how you've been dealing with topics regarding black tax, and if any of the points that I mentioned speak to you, or you have been implementing them or using them in your life, and how has it been being someone who has to go through black tax. So just your general experience, right? So thank you for joining today's channel, today's episode, not channel. So thank you.